What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome to Not Your Status Quo. Tonight, we're talking a little solo leveling. Back to our anime for beginners. I'm the beginner. Doug is certainly not a beginner. But before we get into all of that fun, Doug, how's it going, sir?
Well, Keith, let me tell you, I am outstanding. I am kind of surprised that y'all picked this anime to watch. It's a fun one, at least in my opinion. I saw it, I think, a year or two ago when it premiered, and I wasn't sure if it was going to be any good. And I like fantasy anime. It's pretty good for the most part. I'm into it, but this one seemed so unusual because they were introducing fantasy to like a more realistic setting, and I was like, I don't know if that's going to be any good. And it turned out I enjoyed it. I liked the art and everything about it. So I was really surprised that you guys wanted to talk about it too, because hey, I'll take any opportunity to watch a fun anime again. So I'm outstanding. Keith, how are you?
Well, Douglas, I am tremendous. Anytime I get to watch a new anime, especially one that lines up with like my gaming habits, RPGs, Dungeons and Dragons type stuff, I was
Hmm.
that's why I wanted to watch it. I was kind of reading about it and I'm like, wow, that sounds like it was made specifically for me. That's
Right up
really
my alley,
weird.
right? That's what I was thinking too. I'm like, when once they were starting to, like break down the lore and everything, I'm like, oh, this is kind of interesting. And little little nerdy aside for you, the book that was written before, because this is a South Korean, it's not Japanese, so it started off as a light novel, and then I think it's called a manhwa, if I'm not mistaken. I'm probably saying that wrong, but it's essentially a South Korean like comic book.
Oh, cool.
Hmm.
That is very cool.
Um, so with the original book, it goes really deep into the lore and the backstory. I mean, it gets nerdy, nerdy. So you
Hold
picked a
on.
good one.
Mental note, let's read the book. But should we, first off, for those of you out there wondering, hey, where is Dave? He is still so exhausted from giving Superman a 7.0 that high that he had to take a little break tonight. He had to relax. We told him, sleep, rest up.
Sleep it off, buddy.
I don't think, he'll be able to work for at least 3, 4 days after
He's
such a high review.
curled up in his bed, blankets around him, watching Morbius. He needs to reset and watch a crap movie again to kind of balance it all out.
His comfort movie as it is. But all right, let's talk solo leveling. We watched the first 3 episodes. Me for the first time. Doug a rewatch. That's how this anime for beginners works. Doug is our expert. I am the newbie. And Doug had suggested watching 3 episodes because it really sort of gets into what it's about in the third episode. But I did enjoy these first 2 episodes. I love the weakest hunter in the world. As they're explaining this, these portals opened up, but these people gain powers. They're like warriors and thieves and sorcerers and clerics and nurse healers and stuff. And we see a big brawl with those ants with some higher powered hunters and all this stuff. And I was like, all right, okay, I'm digging the animation. Looks great. I'm digging the story so far. I'm definitely digging the action. I'm like, this is the way to go. And then we find out, we kind of get to the backstory of what I was just talking about, how, because I didn't know that they didn't really level up in real life per se yet.
Nope.
You are the power you're at. Sometimes you can have a second awakening and be more powerful, which we found out in the third episode, which I didn't know about, but I've seen it. So, but normally, whatever power you're at, you're just kind of stuck there.
Wait, you didn't watch the third episode?
No, I did. I found that out in the
Oh,
third episode.
oh, okay. I was gonna say, I'm like, you're missing out a few key points there then.
But the weakest hunter in the world is they're getting ready to, go on a new raid, as they call them, which made me think of
Hmm.
MMOs very much. Uh, and of course, this guy's coming back because he's having a new kid and he needs some money. And then they see the weakest hunter in the world.
E rank.
Yeah,
By the way, I love the fact that they use, like the S, A, B, C, D, E, sort of like what we were using for our when we were sorting, all of the amazing Marvel things that we were looking forward to, half of which didn't come out.
good thing we gave them low ranks. Showed
Right.
you, Marvel Studios. But I was cracking up from the beginning when they're like the guy who had the second kid who came back to work. He's talking to his one buddy, and they're just, oh, there's the weakest hunter in the world. This must be a low-level dungeon if he's showing up. Oh, oh, we better stop talking before he hears us. And he's like, too late.
Like,
I already
too
heard
late.
you.
I heard it. Yeah, that was funny. I I forgot like how much little bits of comedy were sprinkled in this because like it's been a minute since I rewatched it. And so I was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot about this. This is kind of fun." And I forgot like what he looked like too as a newbie hunter, like all the bandages and everything, and everybody keeps commenting like, "Oh man, every time you walk into a dungeon, you end up in the hospital." And even his friend who is a girl but not his girlfriend is
But
like,
I think wants to be.
yeah,
Or
I
am I
think she
reading
does.
that wrong? Okay, okay, good.
No. I'm pretty sure she wants to be, but he hasn't quite figured that out.
I think he finally kind of did. But then, with the whole thing at the end of the third episode, it seems like they're not really around each other to figure it out.
Probably not.
But they enter this dungeon. You know, of course, is it Sung Jinwoo? Is that his name?
It's Jinwoo Sung. So Jinwoo is his first
Jinwoo
name, Sung
Sung.
is his family name.
Got it.
And so they call him Hunter Sung.
Okay. That's what I could. I'm glad you're here to clear all that up. But, you know, they're in. He, of course, gets, trampled. And so I'm assuming her name is Jo Hee Lee.
I believe so, yes.
Okay. She is kind of healing him while the rest are taking care of the boss and figuring this all out. And unfortunately,
I like how she's lecturing him too. Like, dude, I thought it was just this, but you're like covered in bruises and scratches. You've got to take better care of yourself.
and she was like mad. The last raid you did, they didn't send in a healer? Mm-hmm. My first thought is maybe they did, but they didn't think, I'm not going to heal the weakest hunter in the world.
The weakest hunter, yeah. Like, no, this is pointless. He's gonna a gust of wind will blow him over, and he'll break an arm.
Can someone help here? You're good.
Right.
Just hide in the back.
Now, one thing that I noticed in the beginning of this first episode, and again, this is something that I did not remember, but I will preface this: it didn't bother me that much. They did a lot of exposition dumping, but I think in this particular series, because it was sandwiched with so much other world building and action, I didn't mind it that much. But the conversations that the people who work for the Hunters Association were having with each other, it is very much information that they all should have already known. But again, they're delivering this info for the benefit of the viewer, the audience. That way we understand how this world works and why anybody like Sun Jinwoo would wander into one of these dungeons when literally he can trip, die, and smash his face open. It's like, what are they all going after? And so they mentioned these whole essence stones and mana stones that everybody is after.
Very valuable. Yeah, and a lot of the times that is kind of annoying in shows when they talk you through a bunch. But in this, it just seemed natural. We got that big fight at the beginning against the ants, so you got that, and then it's like, okay, here's some info you may need, and it was useful info. It was lore. It was the stuff I want to know, so it wasn't bad to me. It was actually
same.
entertaining. What's up, buddy?
Yeah,
Cookie Run Kingdom.
yeah, because normally when I see stuff like that, my initial thought
You're
is,
gonna
oh,
knock something
here we
off.
go.
Please don't.
I was like, oh, here we go. They're doing an exposition dump because they have no better way to. But you know what? They did so much in the way of showing like how where the gates are, how they're structured, how they just kind of appear wherever they're going to appear, how there's like an entire, almost like a Department of Defense, a separate organization that they had to create. So they did a lot of setup and showing us how this world works and everything. So yeah, I didn't mind the exposition dump this time. It felt even though it was a bit unnatural that these two seasoned people would be saying those things, it felt natural in the flow of the episode,
And
if that makes sense.
I wanted that information, so it didn't bother me
Yeah,
at
yeah,
all.
same, same.
And even later in the show, it might have been the third episode. I think it was because like the news lady's like, okay, we got some gates opening up. So if you're traveling on these highways, make sure you
Yep.
maybe find an alternate route. And this one, is being handled by the White Tiger Guild. And this one, no one's shown up yet, but someone will be there to take. I'm like, okay, I get it. That's probably useful information. Hey, I'm heading home. Don't take 96. A gate opened up on the third lane.
Right, a gate open.
Thank you. I'll take this one instead.
Teeny tiny tangent. That was one of the things that I enjoyed about the Superman movie. We'll talk a little bit more about that, later on this week. So, not really a spoiler, but just the way that the world functions within that movie is the fact that so many people are used to everything that's going on. Everybody kind of acts very nonchalant about it. And that seems to be what they're doing in Solo Leveling as well. It's like, oh well, a gate opened up. Well, I guess I'll just have to, take another route instead, or like, oh well, I've awakened to power, so I guess I can go be a hunter now instead of working a construction job or something. Oh yeah, that's great. Yeah, Ed just became a hunter.
I'm hoping we find out like they've got cards and stuff like collector's cards of the hunters or their fantasy hunter
That would be
games.
great.
Oh my god, I just found out, this guy killed 3 bosses this week. That's 15 points for my team. And
Yeah, I was thinking something like that because I was imagining trying to like break this down in a way that like Dave would understand better because to my knowledge he is not really a gamer as far as like fantasy D&D style games go. So I was thinking he was going to struggle understanding some of these weirder concepts. And so I'm sitting there like, okay, how do we break this down for Dave? Oh, I know. I'll just say that it's sort of like a bunch of sports teams. All these different guilds operate like teams, and they recruit different players or hunters to, work for their teams. And then they've got their overhead. The Hunters Association is like the NBA or NFL.
yep.
And so I was all ready to do that, but then Dave had to go and, overwork himself by rating Superman too darn high.
No. I hope he learns his lesson. Nothing
Yeah.
over a 6.5. But the higher level hunters, the stronger hunters, end up taking care of what they assume is the boss, and a tunnel opens up, or a tunnel opens up, and they're like deciding what should we do. We don't know what's beyond there. This is different than anything we've seen before, so they take a vote, and Jinwoo Sung is the tie-breaking vote. And
He is the
votes
tiebreaker.
yes.
Now, I am glad that they showed us why he voted yes, because if they wouldn't have explained the reason why he was doing all of this to begin with, then I would have been looking at him like, dude, you literally just were on the brink of death. If, magic healing didn't exist, you would have been done for. And you're all like, yeah, I want to keep going, buddy. But yeah, we end up finding out it's because his mom is sick and she's been in the hospital. And, like every other person staying in the house, bills start racking up, and he's been paying him. He's been doing as much work. He's been acting as a hunter, working as a hunter in order to pay these hospital bills and also support his younger sister. So I am glad that they do explain some of this stuff. So we understand his motivation. We get why he's not just being reckless for the sake of being reckless. In fact, even his not a girlfriend, asks him, are you doing this because you don't want to quit, or is there something else?
And even his sisters, going to college or going to university, as they say. And later on in one of the episodes, I think it's 3, when he's in the hospital, she's like, I'm going to quit school and get a job. You better stop doing this. She's like, understands you're going to kill yourself doing it. I would rather have you alive and me doing a job than this. And I was like, man, it's nice to see families, working for each other like that. So, but they find a large room filled with a ton of statues, which kind of come alive and start slaughtering the hunters. And that is where the first.
Yeah.
I'm very glad we didn't just watch one, because I would have not been able to stop after that first time.
Right.
Because I've been in dungeons. I've played Dungeons and Dragons where stuff like that happens. You're just like, does anyone have any ideas? There's writing. Let's read it and figure it out. But
Oh man, I want to give props to the animation team that put this. First off, the animation in general in this looks beautiful, but the creepy smile that they put on that god statue's face, dude, that sucks you in. That gets you, like eyes glued, like oh, this is creepy. What's happening?
oh, we seem to have made it happy, but I'm not getting any comfort from that fact. But, they read that thing and he figures out there's kind of rules that they're going to have to kind of live by. And the first one is revere God. So they all bow and get on their knees. And that's when, why so serious? Kind of came out. And then the second is praise God, which they go to all of the statues that don't have weapons, and it kind of sings a praising song.
First, I do like that one of the hunters thinks, oh, okay, yeah, I think I figured this out. I've studied religions and everything. I tell you what, I'm going to, pray to this god. I'm going to worship this god as you would any other deity. And unfortunately, as our, lead character here mentions, is like, yeah, that's not going to work for this particular god. That's the wrong way to praise this god. And so as he's bowing down, he's praying, and you think, oh, this might work. Crush.
And then it's just walking around trying to stomp everybody in sight while they're struggling to, And of course, not a girlfriend and him are at the same instrument. It's like, oh, you got to stay here. We need to get that last one, and I'll go do it. And of course, I'm so used to Western television. I'm expecting him to just get out of the reach of the foot every time and just make it Bruce Willis it right to the thing. But man, he gets stomped.
Right.
Loses his leg and is crawling over there, and he does. He gets over there, and it kind of plays a little praise the God song, and now that thing comes out from the center of the room, and they decide
Kinda looks like an altar.
very much so, and they decide it wants a sacrifice. Once again, assuming they know anything about this god, and they send the guy, the leader who only has an arm left, and say, okay, go over there and sacrifice yourself, or and of course you see one fire kind of light up, and then he figures out, I think we all have to go in there. Let's two more of us, you guys walk me over there because I can't walk. And when they go in, 3 more fires light up on the inner ring, so everyone comes over and all the fires are lit, and that's when the statues come alive, and all of the blue fires kind of light around them. And they figure out you got to keep your eyes on them. It's like, I don't want to say red light, green light, but
no, it's basically what it's like. It kind of reminded me of Squid Games.
And yeah, they figure out, hey, we gotta keep our eyes on them, or they're gonna keep advancing. And of course, Hunter Sung figures out, hey, those blue is the countdown. We just have to last throughout this thing, which is another.
But of course, it wouldn't be, a bunch of gods without a little bit of temptation. And so not only do these fires light up and this altar emerges from the floor, but they even open the doors a little bit, as if to say, are you going to stay and follow through with all of our laws, and are you going to watch us and revere us, or are you going to run away?
And some people do run away, and you have no idea what's happening. Hunter Sung is like, it's a trap. Don't do it. This is what we have to do. And some people believe him, but others don't, and they're running off. And it comes down to not his girlfriend, the leader, and him. And he's like, take her and get out of here. I'll stay here. And he was originally saying, no, you two go. But he's like, no, you two get out, and I'll stay here. And it was great because he went through all of the 5 stages of death. They run out, and these statues are just kicking the crap out of him. And he's very defiant at first and angry, and then he kind of gets really sad. He's like, I don't want to die.
Then on to bargaining, and then
yeah. And then that last fire goes out, and you see that screen pop up at the end of the episode, would you like another chance? Or I can't remember what it says now, but basically he has completed the hidden quest, and may become a player if he accepts.
Yes. Now, this is it. Do you want to know a little bit more about the lore?
I do. Of course I do.
So, at this point, the anime does not dive into any of this like extra stuff. So you do end up having to like actually read the light novel if you want to know more, or browse the Wikipedia page, I suppose. Trust me, the light novel is more interesting. But it turns out the whole like player thing, this was done specifically. It turns out like the entire idea of the gates existing and people being hunters, this is due to these like celestial beings that have been fighting each other. And they've decided that let's make things a bit more interesting. Rather than us fighting each other, we're going to get these humans involved in it too. And so the supposed gods of light, the good gods, open up all of these gates on Earth and seep mana into the world in order to give people powers and train them to be ready for this upcoming war. One of these gods decides that's not going to cut it. That's not enough. They're not going to be ready by the time, we're going to bring this into the war. So he invents what's called the system. And the system makes you into a player, which lets you then level up. And so far, I think it's like only a handful of people have been made a player. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Jinwoo and like one other person are the only players still alive.
That's pretty cool. I like that. Mm-hmm. But we find out, or in the third episode, he wakes up in the hospital. He's been asleep for like 3 days. And at first he thinks I must have dreamed that double dungeon or whatever you want to call it. Right. And then, the Hunters Association people come and are basically like, yeah, that's what happened. Multiple stories have confirmed that's what happened. And he does find out that all of his friends and co-hunters, everyone who went on that raid, everyone who ran out the door lived. But like,
they're all pretty messed up now.
Yeah, he still had his arm gone. His not a girlfriend was still very shaken up and messed up over, everything that happened. So he was the only one who kind of, because his leg was back and his arm was back and he was completely healed. He was the only one who got out of there much better than he was when he was in there.
Mm-hmm. I also like how he lifts up the blanket in the hospital bed to check because, like, even the way that they've got it framed, it almost looks like his leg is still missing. And then he lifts up the blanket and he's like, oh, he's kind of looking around. He's realizing, oh, hey, man, I'm actually okay. And I think even the Hunters Association, they're questioning him, like, how did you, literally the weakest hunter, everyone knows you're the worst. You will walk into a dungeon and literally a pebble will hit your head and you'll suffer a major fracture into your rib cage or something. So even they're like, this is impossible. There's no way that A, you should have been alive, B, they should have found you, and then you'd be all healed, because they even show that when this other party came in to check it out and see if these statues are still there and everything, they retrieve him, and at that point his leg and everything is already healed.
And they had found the bodies of the people who were killed inside the thing. So yeah, it was shocking. So they do, their first thought is, oh my God, it's a second awakening. And we find out that some hunters go through a second awakening where they power up. And of course, they put him on the machine to test, and he's like a 10. And the one guy's like, God, normal people are like a 7.
Basically a civilian, man. Like, we knew he sucked, but wow.
This confirms it. And he is so, like, happy. He's just like, yeah, I suck. What can I do?
Well, what you gonna do?
But then he sees those screens again that he saw at the end, and he's basically trying to figure it out. And, his sister comes in, and that's where she was kind of like, I'll quit school I don't want you to do this. I'll quit school and get a job to help, and, you don't have to do this. And he's kind of like, those video game screens? How do you get to your inbox or what? She's like, are you all right?
I love the fact that this dude, he's the one who's the hunter. He's the one that goes into dungeons and fights goblins and deals with magic. And he's like, how do you video game? I don't understand. She's like, bro, it's in your inbox, man. Like, that's not even a video game. That's an app thing. Come on.
Yeah. You should know better. But then he gets a daily, event or whatever. And it says, strengthen up, do so many push-ups, do so many sit-ups or something, run so far. And he's like, people in the hospital don't have that kind of strength.
Pshaw.
And then punishment, survival punishment. Oh my god, I may die before. And I love the fact, it just cracked me up that the nurses were like, where did he go? It's the middle of the night. How could he be anywhere? And they're like, should we go back and look for him? And they walk back in the room, and he's like flying in the thing. He's like dehydrated and stuff.
Running from this giant centipede monster. Looks like something out of Dune.
Poisonous centipede monster.
Right.
I like that they did that. I'm like, oh, that's just not a giant monster. It's poisonous too, dude. You better hustle.
I also I was thinking back, so when it said that if he didn't complete his daily tasks of push-ups and sit-ups and everything, that he would be given an equal punishment, a punishment equal to, and I'm thinking, is a giant poisonous, is that what the system deems is equal appropriate punishment for this? I wonder, if he misses any other mission, what is going to come of him?
Yeah. They roll out the barrel. They'll give him a barrel full of gunpowder and take a cork out and he runs. So the gunpowder's fun, then they'll light it.
Right.
That was from Bugs Bunny, I think. But he figures it out. He's like, okay, I need to start doing this. And they kind of jump forward and he's finishing up. The nurses are once again talking he's out there exercising every day. He really wants to get back at it or whatever. And not a girlfriend's coming in with flowers. And I didn't know if she was weirded out that the nurses were kind of talking about him, they might have had a thing with, wanted to be with him type thing, or if she was like, wow, he's doing so well, how is that possible, and was kind of freaked out by it a little bit. I don't know why she left, to be exact.
I think it was the latter, because again, everybody knows that he is literally the weakest hunter and knows that anything could take him out in an instant. She's healed him numerous times. She lectures him all the time. So I think the fact that she saw his leg get cut off. The fact that he was completely healed, and not only that, but he's doing all these exercises and he's even stronger and, tougher than he's ever been. I think that probably was weirded her out in a way I'm dealing with trauma and I'm going through therapy to deal with everything. You're doing push-ups.
Everyone deals differently, and of course nobody knows he's a player, obviously, but he starts
right,
completing all of his daily missions. He's getting stat bonuses, which I was so mad when he's like, I'll put it all into strength. Dude, you got agility and other things, man. Maybe put
he's not a gamer, man.
No, he's not. He's definitely not. Put 2 in strength, 1 in agility, and 2 in strength, 1 in health or something. You can't just stack in the strength. You'll be an offensive juggernaut, but you'll get your butt kicked by Sorry, I tangented off there about video games and how everyone play the games they want to play. You don't have to do it like I do. If I'm watching you play a game and you do stuff like that, I'll probably just leave because I can't deal with it.
There's another anime that I'm sure that you would love. Then it is about it's another video game related one, but nobody's trapped in it, nobody's in danger. It's just these two friends that get a new video game, VR headset thing. And she doesn't know how to play video games, so when they ask her to create her character, she's like, well, I don't want to get hurt, so I'm just going to put all my points into defense. And so she's walking at a snail's pace because she has 0 agility. She can't attack anything, but nothing can hurt her.
They're just bouncing off her.
Right, yeah. She's like, this is the most fun I've ever had. This is a great game. Everyone's looking at her like, what the hell's wrong with you, man?
But it's nice because not only is he getting stat bonuses, but he gets loot boxes.
Yeah.
And he gets a key, a dungeon key that says, go here, and basically...
An instant dungeon.
Yes. And so he goes, and he, holds the key up, and it opens it up, and of course, he walks in, and it shuts down, but he realizes that people are still walking up the subway, so it's a second dimension. And he fights 3 goblins, figures out, hey, those stat bonuses did help. I am much stronger, and he takes out the 3 little goblins, but then he fights a steel-jawed wolf. And the thing I'm liking about this show already, I thought for sure it was going to end like when he got to the new dungeon. But no, they let us go in and get a little taste of it. Then it's like the thing's jumping at him, and it's like, okay, see you next time.
Right.
Which I was like, I really want to watch more now. God, I want.
That's a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
That they did that right. It's like, oh, I need to see what's going to happen next.
They did it right, so I'm happy, and I'm glad I watched them today. And now we can be done here, and we'll be talking about 4 through 6 next Thursday. I can watch those right away, and I can watch them again if I want to. I can do whatever I want. I'm an adult. I can watch.
So
my
I threw it on the
animation.
ground.
But
well, are you ready for some slightly depressing news then?
hold on. Okay, let's hear it.
Okay. So, you know that there's already 2 seasons that have come out.
Yes.
Any guesses when you think the 3rd season will be released?
Since you said it that way, I am going to guess 2029.
Close, 2028.
Dang, what's taking so long?
Apparently, they're doing it in order to give the animators a better work environment. The thought process behind it is they want to continue having the same high quality level of animation that they've had in these first 2 seasons, which I'll admit, it does look really good. This is probably one of the best looking anime that I've watched. You can tell that a lot of effort, a lot of thought, a lot of care was put into it. But yeah, they don't want to rush these people. That's literally all it is. And so they said it will be like, I guess the producers are pushing them to get it completed by 2026, winter 2026. But again, the animation studio is saying, yeah, it's probably going to be more closer to 2028 if, unless we're working 3 shifts a day.
Well, good. You know what? As long as it's for a good reason like that, I'm fine waiting.
Agreed. Yeah, once I read that, because I saw the initial date, and I'm like, oh, dude, 2020, that's a long way away. And then I ended up reading the rest of the article, and I was like, oh, okay. So, the news that you found out today, that actually, I think that'll work out. It'll be a nice in-between.
As long as they do it right. It's funny, because when I said we should do solo leveling, I had seen some things on it. I had no idea. And today, all of a sudden, people are like, yep, Netflix is moving forward with a live-action solo leveling. And, of course, everyone's like, they better do it right. You better spend all the money to get this right. And I was like, wow, this timing is perfect. And we did not plan it this way. We had
No,
this
not at
planned
all. I
out
didn't
weeks
even know
ago.
about it.
Yeah. So it worked out in our favor. Hopefully, it's good. It'll get pretty nice lead in. The people who have watched it can listen to us talk about it, watch it again, have all the fun.
Yeah.
But I saw another stat. One of the Netflix, almost half of their viewing hours at this point is anime. In some way or another. Like anime is taking over Netflix. And that's why they're doing all these live action animes and stuff and trying, because it's been so popular since like the COVID years. It has taken off, and they're just trying to capitalize on it. I was like, so it's not just us. It's
That
everybody.
does make a lot of sense, because during COVID, the first thing that Netflix was able to use to kind of get themselves, because they were starting to dwindle for a little while once all of your other streaming services started coming out with your HBO Go or whatever they were called at that point, which, by the way, I don't know if you noticed the name change today.
I saw my apps updated, and I was like, oh, there we go. They did say summer, I guess. July 10th is summer.
Right.
Oh, and just so you know, just wanted to let you know, Dave Kinchis out in the YouTube chat says, I'm there in spirit on my phone from the road.
Nice.
Thank you for joining us, Dave. Don't overdo it. You gave Superman a 7. We know that took a lot out of you.
That took all of your life energy. Your HP is down to 2. You got to get a healing spell, take a potion. I'm trying to ease him into the world of magic.
I like it. Have a healer come over.
But no, so the thing that kind of helped Netflix out after what was it what was that thing called, Tiger King or whatever?
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah,
what? I don't remember.
King. Yeah, Tiger King. Yeah.
I didn't watch it. I know that everybody else did. I was still working, so I wasn't watching that.
I watched it.
But after that, because Disney Plus was kind of rocking it, really knocking it out of the park with their introduction of like new Marvel shows. They brought back Clone Wars for another final season, even though Netflix thought they were the ones that did that. So I think Netflix is like wondering, what are we going to do? What's going to keep us on the map? How are we going to compete with all these other companies? And they said, you know what? We've got the licensing rights for Avatar: The Last Airbender. Let's do that. And I think that's what must have keyed them into like, oh, hey, maybe animated stuff is the way to go. And once they started diving more into the world of anime, I think that's what might have keyed them in, because now Netflix has some of their own, I guess, produced by Netflix. I don't really know like the right phrasing for it, but essentially it's unique to them. They've got anime that only appears on Netflix, and
Yep.
in fact, one of the most popular ones late last year, earlier this year, was called Delicious in Dungeon. Now, I don't know if you've seen the preview for it, but essentially it is an anime where this guy and his party are trying to go rescue his sister, but they know they're going to be in the dungeon for a while. So they figure out which monsters are safe to eat. And that's the whole anime is like an animated cooking show. And they're cooking up like, griffins and serpent monsters and like, oh, it tastes like chicken. All right.
That's
Like all
awesome.
these other like man-eating plants, and they're turning it into a salad.
Sounds great. And
It's
there
a
one
fun
that was
one.
like Dan? I think Sierra was telling us about it. That was on Netflix. I
Oh
don't-
yeah, that is not a Netflix original, but
okay.
it is good. That I first saw that on Crunchyroll, and that is about a guy who believes that aliens are real, and a girl that believes that ghosts are real, and then turns out they're both right.
Good, good. Glad to hear it.
Yeah.
That sounds good. But should we rate these first 3 episodes, sir?
I think we should. I'd like to know what you think first.
Oh, and I just want to let you know that Dave said it could go up by Sunday. That's 7. Good to hear.
Oh, whoa, he's gonna be really pushing himself.
Nice.
Is he even gonna? Oh man, we might have to go visit him in the hospital.
We definitely we'll come visit you, buddy. You do what you got to do, but let us know, Dave, if you were able. I know you're having some internet issues earlier watching this. If you've watched the first 3 episodes, what is your
Oh
rating?
yeah, I wanna
Because
know.
I really enjoyed this. Like we talked about earlier, the animation was terrific. I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the characters. For me, you guys know one of my big things is I need to like the main character. And he was so like nonchalant and sort of like people were making fun of him. He didn't weep and cry. He wasn't a whiner. He just did what he had to do, and I really liked it. And I liked the interaction between him and the hunters. Like the lead hunter in the first episode or the second episode, when he's like, "Hey, we got to do this. It says this. Let's do this." And he was like, "Some, we're not listening to you. I'm the leader here." He's like, "Hey, what do you think? Let's all figure this out together." And like there was a lot of different characters in there. They weren't all the same. There were some people who were like, "I'm saving myself. I'm powerful enough. I can do this." And you just had a real array of characters going on these raids, and it was interesting. We got a little bit of lore. We got great action sequences. We got rooms like in anyone who's ever played Dungeons and Dragons that requires a little thought and not just all muscle. And then, sort of the best part about it, he gets out, and now instead of being stuck at a 10, being an E level hunter, he can level up, and he's got these things going for him, and he's working at it. And anyone who's ever played an RPG, sometimes you got to grind, and that's what he's doing to kind of build himself up. And of course, as much as I hate cliffhangers sometimes when I can't watch the next episode right away, they're doing a great job with the cliffhangers, because it's like he gets in the dungeon and then he starts, and then, okay, come back next week, kids. We'll see you then. And I'm like, you got me.
Next time, kids.
You got me.
Blood,
You got me.
violence, death.
And there is a lot of blood and violence in this. They do not skimp on that. So I'm like, all right, this is great. I'm loving it. This is everything I would want in an anime, great story, great animation, things that I enjoy watching other people do it, even though he's putting all his stats and strength and nothing. But no, we're not getting, I said I was not going to get into that, and I'm not getting into that. So I am going to give these first 3 episodes an 8. Really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it has all the elements I want in a series, and I'm hoping it continues, through the first season and then maybe 2 at some point if we watch it.
I am so glad that you guys picked this anime. It was a blast to go back and rewatch these first 3 episodes. It's been a minute since I watched them all, and it's great. Like I said, I was not bothered at all by the exposition that they're doing. Like it felt natural within the confines of the show because they did such a good job of character development, world building. Like they had a lot on their plate to try and deliver to you because whenever it comes to like these fantastical fantasy laden stories, there's a lot of explanation that needs to be done. Why do these humans have magic powers? Why are there magical gates? Why are they fighting monsters? And not only why is people in general doing this, why is our main character doing this? So they had a lot to be able to get out to you while not losing you. If they had just gone the way of, world building and just trying to explain it all, most people probably would have been bored and shut it off after episode 1. But they did such a phenomenal job of hooking you in with, in my opinion, beautiful animation. I mean, really, really well done. The colors were bright. Everything was the line work was sharp. The camera angles were good. Everything was very dynamic. It was just really well done. We even had an instance of a non-prisoner parkour character. It was just all around. It's a really good anime, and it did a good job of explaining what's going on and kind of hooking you in, getting you invested in the action, like right from the beginning when they do that 3 years ago, to let you know, hey, this is what people are dealing with, and this is the reason why they have to enter these gates to stop these monsters, because if they don't, they're all going to come out and they're going to lay waste to the city, because we see that, these magic stones, these mana stones, and these essence stones, they're fine at making armor and like swords and knives and everything, but it's not like they have guns to fight these monsters with. So most wars where you could rely on advanced technology, they can't really do that. Everything has to go back to, and literally, like they even show one of the characters shooting a fireball wearing a wizard hat. Like they're literally treating it like live action Dungeons and Dragons in order to deal with what is essentially like, the gate opens up in the street. It's like just another day, another job. It's construction. It's people that they treat these hunters like it's it's a living. And I like how they did such a good job just I'd say within the first episode alone, they did such a good job of filling you in on everything you need to know, so it makes the rest of the watch enjoyable. And using Jinwoo in order to like explain this whole player thing was also really smart. I love the fact that he decides not to do his first mission specifically so we as the audience can see, okay, well, what actually happens if he doesn't? And it's terrifying. I loved it. So yeah, I enjoyed going back and watching this. It was beautiful to look at. Those statues, so friggin' creepy. I was glad to see those again. And yeah, just for all of the positives that I've mentioned, and I am really struggling to think of a negative. I guess the only thing that I could say would be I am now aware of all of the additional lore, and I guess I wish they would have explained that at some point, but also I know that there's no real good way to do it. It was already enough as is, So I got to give this a 9 out of 10. It's really good. It's really beautiful. It's fun to watch. The voice acting was good. The animation is beautiful. Easy 9 out of 10. And I can't wait to keep watching more.
One of the things I forgot to mention, and I wanted to mention, is the fact that they showed us these high-level hunters at the very beginning. Jumping with lightning swords and coming down and, fire and all this stuff. So it shows you what the player can build up to, what we can see later on. They gave us a little tease so you know what he's working for. So you're like, yeah, keep doing those strength exercises, buddy. keep doing that. Get in there and get in there so you keep powering up so we can see what we wanted to see, like Luke Skywalker at the end of season 2 of The Mandalorian, where you see him just showing his power off. So I thought that was a very nice touch.
So are you looking forward to jump back in and watching more episodes then?
100%. I seriously could have
Nice.
watched 3 more before the stream tonight because I was digging it. It's a really good show.
And those of you who are out there watching us right now, we like to rate things on a scale of 10, with 5 being average. So if you are watching Solo Leveling along with us, or if you've watched it before, we'd love to know what you think. Go ahead and put it in the chat if you're watching us live, or, after the fact, if you want to put it in the comments, tell us what you would rate Solo Leveling. Again, we only watched the first 3 episodes so far. We're going to be diving into the rest as we go on. And yeah, I can't wait to hear what all of your thoughts are.
Yeah, and Dave said he did liked it. He wanted to finish the 3, so we will get his thing. But he definitely liked it. It's
Nice.
definitely a quality anime. Now,
Oh, hold on. He liked 2 things in the same. Uh-oh.
I know
That's too much liking.
I'm a little weirded out too.
Yeah.
So I hope everything's good. But like Doug said, let us know in the comments down below what you thought. If you watched it, rewatch it. Let us know your updated thing. But we got some news and rumors to finish out, and we are going to start in the MCU if that's okay.
Yes.
I'm going to start with the one. This is not a rumor. This is the showrunner has confirmed this.
Okay.
Daredevil Born Again season 2 has wrapped filming
Really? Already?
already.
Wow.
And it
Okay.
is slated to come out early 2026.
Nice. That is good news. I am happy to hear that. The first season was already such a blast. I am so glad we're getting more. And man, I can't believe we're getting it so soon. I'm so used to all of these shows taking like 2 or 3 years or more to, get out another season. I honestly didn't think we were going to get another one until, like, freaking 2030 or something. I don't know.
I definitely thought the same thing. I was like, okay. But then they said they started filming, and I'm like, okay, maybe it'll be sooner. And it seemed like they definitely had, because we had heard when this was originally announced, they're like, they have 2 parts. It's going to be 9 episodes each. So it sounds like they had the first 2 seasons mapped out pretty good. But
Nice.
Vincent D'Onofrio did confirm they have plans, they have ideas for a season 3. So as long as people watch, we'll probably get more seasons of Daredevil Born Again. So fingers crossed season 2 is as good as 1 and we get more seasons.
Now, question, Keith.
Yes, sir.
And also for all of you out there watching us as well. Do you think Marvel will actually learn anything from this?
I hope so. I don't necessarily think they will, but I think with the restructuring and everything going on and them hopefully learning from the multiversal saga, I hope so. I hope they like, hey, let's multiple seasons for one hero. We don't have to have 8 different shows introducing new heroes and never see them for years and years and years. Let's keep the stuff that worked from the first 3 phases where, hey, we got Captain America. We're going to have another Captain America movie soon. He'll be in the Avengers. You see the same characters, and they struggled with introducing characters and finding places for them to appear again.
Mm-hmm.
But another project that is rumored to be in development at Marvel Studios. This is
Okay.
via Daniel RPK. They're working on a Silver Surfer project.
Really?
And it sounds like it might be a special presentation, much like Werewolf at Night, much like the Punisher special presentation that's coming out later this year. So, or later next year, sorry. Post Daredevil Born Again Season 2 is the Punisher, not this year. I was getting overly excited.
I wonder if it's going to be, different, like, episode. I assume when you say special presentation, it's going to be like what, one long just thing, sort of like the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special.
That's what yes.
Well, I wonder if that one long thing will be broken up into, like three acts or whatever, showing this Silver Surfer heralding to other worlds and watching their destruction, like a montage sort of thing, like one world after another, and just watching the effect that it has, like an inner monologue moment. This is the 50th world, in this era. Have to do this again, and then finally it ends with her going to Earth. And
Well, here, Dave out in the chat has a great question.
okay,
Which surfer? Is it going to be Shellaball or Norn Rad?
oh, good question. I just automatically assumed it was going to be the one from the new Fantastic Four.
I don't think that has been confirmed because I can't even remember who it was. They were thinking someone was cast as Norn Rad and may show up in Fantastic Four First Steps because obviously what we've learned is the Fantastic Four are in a different universe than the 616, the MCU normal. So it may be, this could be the 616 Silver Surfer, or it could be the one from Fantastic Four First Steps, because I think I shared with you guys, maybe it wasn't you guys, maybe it was someone else. I don't think that the Silver Surfer is going to turn on Galactus in Fantastic Four First Steps. Everybody is expecting it because that's what happened in the comics.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a different universe, so I think this Silver Surfer is going to stay with Galactus. So if it is the special presentation on Shellaball, it could be like you said, she's going to other planets and leading Galactus to the destruction and stuff. So that could be, they have a lot of places they could go with that.
I could see that. I like that theory. That's good.
Yep. And Dave said, like when Deadpool heralded for Galactus, kind of like that. Yes. And then the next little rumor, and this is from the Cosmic Circus, Marvel Studios is reportedly developing a sequel to Werewolf by Night.
Okay.
The goal is to bring back Jack Russell, Elsa Bloodstone, and Man-Thing. And we had heard that there was a couple projects coming up that Man-Thing would be in. We assumed one of them might be Midnight Suns, and it sounds like the other one might be another Werewolf by Night, which...
Hey, I'm down for that. I liked the first one a lot.
Yeah. And Dave says sweet, so he likes that too. That's good news. The first one was great. I think everyone enjoyed it who watched it. I haven't watched the colored one yet. Did you know they released a colored version of Werewolf by Night?
Yeah, you mentioned it, I don't think in our last stream, but the one before that, you had mentioned it. And yeah, I was kind of surprised. I didn't realize that. I haven't gone to look for it on Disney Plus in a while, but yeah, I'll have to check it out.
I'm definitely
I'm
going to have to.
watching that again.
Now, this one, I don't think we're going to get as much fanfare
Okay.
as the last one. And this is the Cosmic Circus also. Marvel Studios is reportedly developing a sequel to Moon Knight.
Mm-hmm.
And the sequel will follow Mark Spector and Stephen Grant as they are forced to solve a mystery that ultimately brings them face to face with Jake Lockley.
Okay. Honestly, that's what the first season should have been.
100%. They did not need to get into all the mystical stuff. They really needed to establish him as a street level hero first. So they're doing it backwards, if this is true.
I wonder if they're treating this as sort of like a soft reboot of the character. Like it's a sequel, but they're hoping nobody watched the first one so they can kind of reestablish the Moon Knight character.
Hey, look at
And I'd be
season
fine
2.
if they did that.
Look at season 2. What's that? Nothing.
Right.
Don't look at it.
In fact, we're not calling it season 2. We're calling it Moon Knight Resurgence or something.
Moon Knight, the first time we've had him
Right.
in a show. Wait a minute.
Moon Knight Beginnings.
You should write. Dave needs to call his buddy, Kevin Feige, and let him know.
Right. Oh, God.
And Dave did say absolutely, so.
Ooh, absolutely.
Good stuff, good stuff. And now, oops, that is not what I wanted to do. I hate when I hit the wrong tabs. I'm going to remove the MCU one because this is not an MCU rumor. This isn't a rumor. This is news about DC Studios.
Okay.
James Gunn confirms he has read the script for the Batman Part 2 and says it's great.
Nice. Okay.
So I am very excited for that. Every time they even mention the first Batman movie, that song still living rent free in my head. Just bum, 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 bum. So that's got stuck in my head. So I'm excited. Matt Reeves has taken a bit of time to finish his second script, but it sounds like it was worth.
Jesus, Dave.
Oh no, what did he say? As great as The Flash? Nothing. That
Fair.
was the
Okay,
greatest.
fair.
That was the greatest comic book movie ever.
There were babies in microwave. It had everything.
The one guy, now I know James Gunn had said it too, which I think he was just trying to hype the movie to get as much money that opening weekend before people found out how terrible it was, and the box office trash. But there was some actual online reviewers who said it's so great, it's amazing, who have, to the surprise of no one, deleted those tweets.
You think?
And that is why people think the studios pay reviewers for good reviews. But hey, maybe he liked it. Who knows? Who knows what he was watching? I mean, there's people out there that liked Morbius. Oh, sorry, Dave. Sorry about that. Morbius was great. We all loved it.
He was watching. He actually watched the Grant Gustin CW Flash series, and he confused it for the movie.
I would have rather watched the first couple seasons of the Grant Gustin Flash CW series.
Okay, maybe he watched the '90s, the '90s Flash show with Mark Hamill as the trickster.
I forgot about that one. Because that guy,
Man, this movie is great. Mark Hamill's such a good actor.
he looks so young.
Right.
Oh, and let's see. Dave is saying, I gave it a 5. A 5. True. But that was higher than Doug and me. So we are not going to let it go, sir. Ever. But yeah, that's the news and notes for the week. That's Solo Leveling. We had a good time. We will be back Sunday night too. Don't forget, with Superman spoiler-filled review and what's next for the DCU. Which, oh my God, he's spelling Morbius with a 5 instead of an S. No, Dave, I don't think
You're not winning this one.
I don't think they announced Morbius 5 yet. But I know you will be front row opening night.
What would Morbius 2 even be called? To Morb to Eus?
Morbius, the food is better in this universe.
Morbius 2 Vampire Boogaloo?
That would be perfect. But hey, let's find someone to raid on Twitch there, Mr. Doug.
That's a good idea. And for those of you that are wondering, what a raid is where we find somebody to kind of take all of our viewers over and drop them off. Now, we've got a couple of fine, wonderful folks that we're friends of the channel. I see that we've got Carmen, who's playing Grand Theft Auto. We've got CW Devarian, says playing Peak, I think. Graduating is something The Finals. And let's see here. We've got Wolfden, who's doing Taking Apart the Switch 2. And then Meat Canyon, who is just chatting. So...
We also got Alex Nomakia playing Red Dead Redemption 2.
Okay.
Yeah, what do you think? What are you thinking?
Well,
I was hoping Rizzle Fizzle would still be on. I was watching him while I was setting up today.
I was looking to see if there is a solo leveling game. I was gonna look to see if anybody is currently playing it, but it looks like there are only two channels that are currently playing it, and they're both in Spanish. Well, I'm sorry. One is in Spanish, one is in Portuguese. So, out of the ones in our list, our friends, how about CW Devarian, since the individual only has 32 folks?
Let's do it. I like
All
the way
right.
you're thinking.
Excellent. All right. And again, just as a reminder for those of you who are out there watching us on YouTube, again, rating is something we can do on Twitch. There isn't really a good equivalent on YouTube when you're going live. So, if you're watching us out there on YouTube, we'd ask that you like the video if you enjoyed watching us. If you want others to, watch our review of Solo Leveling and, boost the views, get it out there in the world of YouTube, share it with all your friends. And as we had asked before, make sure you get down in those comments. Let us know what you thought about the rumors that Keith told us. And also, tell us what you think about Solo Leveling. If you've watched it, did you like it? And do you want to keep hearing us review it even more? So, again, get down in those comments. And as always, we'll see you next time, right here on Not Your Status Quo. Hey fellow nerds, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of this stuff, make sure that you check out our Twitch stream. We try to do these live Sunday or Monday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Keep an eye on our social media to find out when you can join in live and chat with us during these live streams. Also, as usual, don't forget to check out our other social media. Add us at Twitter, comment down below, and we'll see you next time right here on Not Your Status Quo.